This is a total body power HIIT and conditioning workout for your ovulatory phase. This is that time in the cycle where we get to experience more of our masculine side. There's elevated estrogen hormones, which have us feeling very feminine, but we also have a surge of testosterone, which gives us access to our power. We can tap into that solar energy that these type of workouts demand. So this is also a time when both mind and body are in a bit of a state of arousal. We have these heightened energy levels that can be very productive, very fruitful, but without a bit of release, without a way to channel that energy, it can lead us into overwhelm. You might be feeling that wired, tired, sort of frantic feeling. So this practice is going to exert a lot of energy. It is going to demand a lot of power, and it will give you a way to shake some of that energy and give it a bit of grounding so that you can maintain that level, balanced state where creativity can flow, where you can really enjoy this phase for all of the benefits it provides, for that glow that comes from the inside out. And let me tell you, you will be glowing after this practice. So you're going to want to make sure you have some water and a towel to keep you comfortable throughout. This is interval training with weights. So my recommendation for you would be something that you can sustain that will both challenge your upper and lower body. So we're doing whole body patterns that will use both the legs and the arms. So you're going to want to find something that's heavy enough to challenge the legs, not so heavy to sacrifice form in the upper body. For me, I'm using 15-pound dumbbells for the movement patterns where we use both. And I have a heavier 30-pound dumbbell that I'm using when we drop down to one weight, and I still want a bit of challenge there. Don't sweat it if you don't have a range of weights in your selection. Just use what you can to create a bit of resistance in these power movements. In today's practice, the structure is 3 sets of work with 3 exercises each. We have 2 exercises that we are performing back to back in variable intervals. So we'll start with 20-second intervals of each, then 40, and then 60 with very quick 10-second rest in between. After we pair those 2 exercises together, each set has a weighted power or cardio movement that we will complete in a Tabata session. So Tabata session is 4 minutes total, 20-second rounds of work with 10 seconds of rest. You complete that 8 times. So it's going to be intense. It's going to be quick. We don't have a lot of transition between exercises or between sets. For that reason, we've included, right after this intro, you will find a tutorial for the workout itself. So I'll be walking you through all of the movement patterns so that you can create that blueprint. You have it in your body. You've maybe worked through a couple of the movements to get the mechanics right so that when the timer starts, you can be fully checked in, fully present. Part of the conditioning benefit that comes from these workouts is being able to power through from the start of the interval to the very end. They're very quick intervals for the most part, so if you can really push through and stay checked in for the full length of time, you'll get the maximum benefit. In the ovulatory phase, we are still kind of in that zone where our metabolism is still slightly lower, so we have less risk of depletion, and we can exert a bit more. We can sweat a bit more and pour more into our workouts without feeling so exhausted and depleted afterwards. So take advantage of that here. Leverage your inner chemistry to get the most out of this workout. So grab your towel, grab your water, your weights, and let's get started. We'll get started with our ovulatory phase power HIIT workout in just a few moments. In this workout, we have very quick transitions. So there's short periods of rest. This is a time in the cycle where we can sort of push that edge of recovery and demand more of the body in terms of conditioning. With that said, our short transition times means there's not a lot of setup time, a lot of time to talk about mechanics. So in the beginning of this video, we're going to give a tutorial of each of the movement patterns so that you can maybe practice a few reps on your own with or without weight, imprint the movement pattern so that when we start the timer, you are ready to show up. You're ready to power into your workout without having the cognitive load of figuring out the movement patterns as we go. So I encourage you to watch this tutorial all the way through, at least each movement pattern, before you get started with the workout. Our first movement is a squat thruster. So it's a simple but very effective movement pattern. In this squat thruster, the toes are turned slightly out, the heels are slightly in, the feet are a bit wider than hips width distance apart. We lift the weight to the shoulder, so our starting position is here. The elbows are hugging in, the low ribs and hip points are knitting together to create that stable core activation to support us in the movement. Then we squat down to about knee height, maybe a touch lower, and then you drive through the heels to press the weight overhead. So we're here. It's down and press up. That's our squat thruster. Our next movement pattern that is paired with the squat thruster is the Renegade Row. So lots of options here to make this your own. I'll show the first option, which is just a bear crawl or a table row. You have the hips over the knees, shoulders are over the wrists. Beware of locking out the elbows. So if you have hypermobility in the elbows, there can be a tendency to lock that joint and dump all of the weight there. That takes the recruitment of the muscles out. So add a gentle bend in the elbows here. The row is simply activating the belly to stabilize, and then we draw the elbow straight back. Hug the elbow into the sides. It might want to flare out as you get tired, but wrap it into the side. And we're just alternating here. If you're feeling, especially in the beginning, like you have lots of activation in the belly and you can do a full plank without strain in the low back, you can step the feet back, let the hips stay nice and low. So they're going to want to hike up as you get tired, but keep those hip points drawing to the low ribs. Stretch your heart out forward, gentle bend in the elbows, and it's here. It's a row, side to side. So you can stay with that. If you want to add a little bit of challenge, it's challenge, but it also gives you a little bit of break from the plank position. So you can kind of choose your own adventure as we go. But if you need that bit of pause at the top, you can row and then extend in sort of a side plank shape. So it would be a row and then keep the weights close, extend. So that adds a bit more complexity, requires a bit more balance and coordination, but it does give you that bit of a pause between the Renegade Row. So you choose there. Each set that we're working through has two power movements, so the thruster and the Renegade Row, and then we finish with the Tabata round of a weighted cardio pattern. So for this one, it's a weighted burpee. We'll keep the weights nice and close. Starting position here, we're going to jump back. You can step or jump back, take or leave the push-up, and then step or jump forward. And this is the weighted part. So you're either just pressing up to stand or you're giving a bit of a hop. So the weighted burpee, same as your regular burpee, all the options available to you. We're just adding the element of weight. So I'll show it once together all the way through. Hop back, push up, and hop. So we'll be there in our Tabata round. I'll explain the structure a little bit more once we're done with the tutorial. Our second set of work, our second 3 exercises. The first one is a deadlift with an upright row. Feet or hips width distance, outer edges of feet parallel. We roll the shoulders back and down so they're relaxed. Knit low ribs to hip points. The common misalignment is to turn this into a squat, is to squat down and bend the knees deeply. Instead, it's a simple hinge at the hips. So imagine the body stays in one plane. You just hinge at the hips to lower the weights up and down in a straight line. That's the deadlift component. Then the upright row, we're taking the elbows out and up to chest height. So it's here, the elbows turned up and down. So we're just moving through that combination there. Deadlift, weight is in the heels, upright row. So again, it's a hip hinge. So from the crown all the way to the sacrum stays in one line as you hinge at the hips. Gentle bend in the knees, but not not a super deep bend, so the legs are mostly straight. And then we press through the heels to rise up. Our paired pattern with this is the weighted sit-up. So you'll take your feet hips width distance, keep them grounded on the floor. If you find that you're really kind of using momentum, you can always turn the knees out and bring the soles of the feet together. That can sort of relax the hip flexors so that you can focus more on the abdominals. The starting position is here, and then we press the weight up and drive up. If it's too much to have the weight overhead, you can keep the weight at your chest and be here. Find that sort of curl in the spine so that you touch all points of the spine as you come down and back up. So we're creating that mobility in the hips and the low spine here to engage and activate the belly. So our weighted sit-up, that's our paired movement pattern for the second set of work. For this one, the Tabata round will be a dumbbell swing. So you can stay with one of your weights that you're using. I also have a heavier dumbbell just to create that added challenge and resistance for this single dumbbell exercise. The dumbbell swing, again, we're pairing it with the deadlift because it is that hip hinge movement. It's the mechanics of the hip hinge. So you have your weight. I'm going to demonstrate without weight first so that we can kind of slow it down. You're just barely bending the knees to let the hips hinge. So you're gonna drive the hip creases back, and then you're gonna power through the hips to lift the weight. So really, there's not a lot of movement happening in the back and the upper body, even in the legs. It's all in the hips. So it's this hip hinge and then driving through the hips. So you're pressing through the heels, driving through the hips to lift the weight to shoulder height. So with the weight, I'll demonstrate here. Shoulders are relaxed. So we're not really swinging. The swing is kind of a misnomer. It's more of a driving through the hips. So it's just a gentle swing back and drive. So you'll find that if you are exerting the power necessary through the hips, the weight will kind of naturally lift to horizontal. So all of the power, all of the strength is coming from the hips. You're not using the arms to lift the weight. That's why I kind of like to have the heavier weight, because it sort of forces the arms out of the equation. You have to drive with the hips to get that weight up. So you can use single dumbbell. If you have a heavy kettlebell, you can use that as well for this movement. Our third and final set is going to be a step back lunge. So we have the weights by your sides. We'll do 2 step back lunges, so one each side, coming to 90 and 90. And then as you rise up, we come into a hammer curl, and you'll do a shoulder raise. So the elbows come out to shoulder height and back down. Then you let the weights come by your sides as you step back together, come into that hammer curl, shoulder raise, and back down. So we're alternating between the lower body and the upper body here. This one we are going to pair with our Curtsy lunge pulse and a tricep extension. So this one uses a single dumbbell only. You'll grab the top of the dumbbell with both hands, bring it overhead. I'll demonstrate the extension first. So wrap the inner upper arm bones in and toward your ears. So they're kind of wrapping around behind you. And then you're lowering the weight, keeping the elbows stationary and pressing back up. So lowering down and pressing back up. The key here, the only movement is happening in the forearm. So the elbow is that fixed point. And then we add the Curtsy lunge pulse here. So with the Curtsy, you're just stepping back, pulse the knee. And as you pulse, I'll show you, you come down with the weight, and then the press is in between. And then you switch sides, pulse, and back up. So we're alternating the Curtsy there. You'll hang on to your one weight for the round of Tabata in this set. The weight starts at chest height. Keep the elbows wrapping in, and it's a weighted jack. So as you step the feet apart or jump the feet apart, the weight is going overhead. It looks like this. And you can make it fluid, or you can sort of pause between each one, your choice. This one, you can always ditch the weight. The weight is just kind of an added challenge to recruit power during this time in the cycle, but especially as we get to our third round, if you feel any fatigue, any strain in the spine, you can always drop that weight. You can also move it to a step out and together. So having the weight at your chest, just stepping out from side to side, nice and quick, as though you were using that jumping jack movement pattern. So those are our 3 sets of work. I'll give you just a brief overview of the structure. It's a bit complex, so don't sweat it too much if it seems a bit heady, but we have our 2 movement patterns that we're pairing together at the beginning of each set. We're doing a round of 20-second intervals, then 40, and then 60 with 10 seconds of rest in between. It goes very, very quickly. So we'll have 3 rounds of that. We'll have a bit of a longer rest, 30 seconds or so, before we begin our round of Tabata, so that conditioning burst between weighted sets. So the Tabata structure is all out maximum effort for 20 seconds with 10 seconds of rest. So that third movement pattern in each set is the one where we really want to move into the conditioned working zone. We want to find that vigorous heart rate where you are approaching breathless for 8 rounds. So it's 20 seconds, 10 seconds rest for 8 rounds for 4 minutes total. Again, don't sweat it too much if that seems a bit complex. I'll be keeping time for you and guiding you through as we go along, kind of giving you cues on what's coming next. So now that you've got that tutorial, you can try the movement patterns for yourself, and we are ready to get started with this workout. We are ready to begin our power HIIT workout for the ovulatory phase. Make sure you have your set of weights, medium to heavy, ready, maybe a heavier single weight if you choose to use that. Once I hit the timer, we have about 20 seconds on the clock to set up, and our first movement is the squat thruster. So preparing for that, we have 20 seconds here, getting set up. Grab your weights. They can come to shoulder height. Feet are a little bit wider than hips width distance. We'll go in 10 more seconds. Grab that core activation right from the beginning. Hip points to low ribs. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squat thruster. Squat down and power up. Lean back and up. So squat to about knee height and then find the power on the way up. So really driving through the heels to get that weight overhead. Find that forceful exhale as you power up. So quick 20 seconds. We've got 10 seconds of rest. Moving into Renegade Rows. Find your plank position here. And we'll go in 2, 1. It's a row. Keep the shoulders and the hips square. Row. The hips might want to hike up. Can you keep them nice and low? Keeping the core solid. Heart stretching forward, length in the spine. These first few intervals go so quick. And rest. 10 seconds on the clock. Back to our thruster for the 40-second interval in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Squat down, press up. Exertion on the way up with that forceful exhale. That'll help keep the belly engaged. Keep the breath working for you all the way from start to finish. Here we go. You can tell we're doubling up the interval. It's a bit longer. Stay with it. Use your breath. Notice if the belly starts to get lax. Can you wrap the abdominal wall around the spine? 2 and 1. Renegade Rows coming down to the mat. Catch your breath for 5 more seconds. And we're back into it in 2, 1. Here we go. It's a row and down. Row and down. Recruiting so much strength from the crown to the tail. You always have the option to come down to the knees if this begins to create any strain in the low back. We're in it now. Stay strong as we move through. This is just a 29-minute practice. Can you show up fully, be present from beginning to end? And rest for 10 seconds. We're coming to our longest interval here. In 3, 2, 1. 60-second thruster. Here we go. Press up. This is where the work is. Drive that weight up. Once you're done with this set, we're done with squat thrusters. So have that in your mind that this is the last opportunity for this movement pattern. Forceful exhale as you press those weights up. Really excavate your power here. Dig deep. We have just about 20 more seconds left. You got this. The arms maybe getting a bit tired. Can you drive even more powerfully through the heels? You got this. 3, 2, and 1. Coming into Renegade Rows. Get ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we'll be in the row here for 60 seconds. And then we have our 30-second rest before weighted burpees. So creating that strong, stable core foundation here to carry us through our 8 rounds of Tabata. You got this. Know that you can always take a few reps with the knees down if you need to recalibrate, re-engage. We're here for 20 more seconds. You got this. Remember how quickly that first interval went by. Be here for 10. Just 5 more seconds. You got this. And rest. Bring your weights to the top of your mat. We've got our rest period here. We've got about 20 more seconds before we start our weighted burpee. So gather your breath. Small sip of water if you need it. Towel off. And we're going in about 10 seconds. So collect your breath. Create that mindset. Go all out for every 20-second interval. Here we go. 2, 1. Let's get it. Take or leave the push-up. Hop up. Tiny hop. You can step back if you want a more low impact version. It will still create challenge. Burpees are one of those patterns that no matter how you slice it, they will challenge you. So that was our first 20-second Tabata round. So the goal is to go all out for the full 20 seconds. Here we go. Let's get it. Hop back, push up, forward, and up. Back, push up. So you can play a bit of a game with yourself. Challenge yourself by keeping track how many burpees you get in each 20-second interval and rest. And then try to match or beat that with every subsequent interval. You should be working into that breathless zone. Here we go. Let's work. Hop forward and up. So track your reps here. Can you meet or beat your first round? 3, 2, and 1. Rest. 10 seconds. Here we go. We got this. Going back to burpees in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Burpees. Here we are. Push up, hop forward, and press up. Again, form over speed. So if you do need to slow it down here, by all means, make those adjustments as needed. Rest. 10 seconds. We're here. You got it. Going back to the burpee in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. Hop back, push up, hop forward, and up. Back, push up, hop forward, and up. Stay with it. And rest. Excuse me, you had 3 more seconds. And rest. You got a bit of a longer rest there if you stuck with me. Going back to the burpee in 3, 2, 1. They're quick transitions, but can you just go all out for that short 20-second burst? You got this. You can always take out the push-up if it disrupts your cadence or your speed. Rest. Going back in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hop forward, lift up. So you can always just hop back and forward and lift up. You can eliminate the push-up if you're like me and your arms are getting a bit tired. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. We've got our 10 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Weighted burpee for 20 seconds. This is a 4-minute round of conditioning. Can you stay with it from the beginning until the end? 3, 2, 1, and rest. 10 seconds here. Collecting your breath as best as you can. That was our 8th round of Tabata. We have 20 seconds of rest now before we move into our second set of exercises. So in 12 seconds, we're going with the deadlift and upright row. So I'll turn to face you here. Get that breath under control. 3, 2, 1. It's a deadlift to an upright row. You got this. Hip hinge, nice long spine, upright row. And up from the side. Hinge at the hips and lift up. Down and lift up. 2, 1. Release those weights down, coming into our weighted sit-up next. Have the weight at your chest. You can have the knees splay open or together. Let's begin. Weighted sit-up. You can keep the weight at your chest or keep it stretching skyward. So as you move up, drawing the low ribs to the hip points, feeling that tilt of the pelvis. 3, 2, 1. Quick 10-second transition here. Back to the deadlift upright row for our 40-second interval. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It's deadlift upright row. So we're taking the momentum, the swing out of it. It's slightly different than the thruster. So here, you're not using the power up for the row. So it's almost 2 discrete movements where you're focusing the weight on the hip hinge and then the row. If it becomes too heavy in the arms, you can add a bit of a drive through the heels to get the weights up to shoulder height. 3, 2, 1. Weighted sit-up comes next. Get your body set up. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. This is our 40-second interval. Just like that, we're moving through the second set. These quick intervals. The workout goes by so quickly, so really take advantage of your presence here. Can you be in it? Can you pay attention? Where are you feeling the work? Can you create mobility in the pelvis here, tilting forward and rounding back. 3, 2, 1. Coming back up for our longest interval at 60 seconds here. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deadlift to the row. The weights stay in one straight line the whole way down and the whole way up. Can you keep the belly engaged? Notice as we get through the workout, does it tend to want to soften or relax? These power movements, it is a 29-minute core workout. Each movement requiring that stability through the belly, through the spine. You got this. For just 20 more seconds, stay in it. Breathe. Weight is in the heels as you come down and as you press up. Last 10. Last 3, 2, and 1. Come down, lower the weights. Find your weighted sit-up. After we complete this interval, moving to our dumbbell swing. So create that core activation here. Imprint the hip hinge pattern so we can take it into our 4-minute session of Tabata. I'm going to let the knees splay open so that my hip flexors can sort of relax just a little bit. So there's no gripping in the hips as you lift in this weighted sit-up. You can also take the weight to chest height if that feels better for you. The goal though here is to keep the upper back from rounding, so keep the chest elevated the whole time. The heart lifts skyward as you come up. Stays expanded as you lower down. We're here for 5, 3, 2, and 1. You have your 30-second rest here. Getting set up and prepared for the dumbbell swing. So I've got my heavy weight. You can stick with just one of your weights. Or if you have a kettlebell. If you're doing it without weight, just focus on the hip hinge. So driving through the hips to create that power as you come up. We're going in 5 more seconds. We've got this. 8 rounds. They're just 20 seconds each. They go by so quickly. Here we go. So it's a hip hinge and drive. So the weight just sort of follows the arc that you're creating with the hips. So you're not using the arms or even the legs really at all. It's happening in the hips. Rest. 10 seconds. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 20 more seconds of work here. You got it. Stay with it. Create that breath pattern and then map the movement onto your breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Just 10 seconds here between these quick bursts. Go all out for the full 20 seconds. 2, 1. Here we go. Spine stays strong. You're powering through the hips. Create that bit of a snap at the top to really drive the hips forward. Approaching breathless. 3, 2, 1, and rest. 10 seconds. Try to deepen the breath. Let the diaphragm expand. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We're halfway there through this Tabata round. After this interval, you got it. Stay with it. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. 10 seconds on the clock. We're coming down the second half of our Tabata round here. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. It's that dumbbell swing. So you shouldn't be feeling this in the low back. If that happens at all, you can take this to more of just a squat. Rest. Excuse me. Now rest. Keeping track of the timer for you. My apologies if I lose track. Here we go. 2, 1, dumbbell swing. Power up through the hips. You can always decrease the weight if you need to. Just focus on driving and creating that power in the glutes. One of the largest muscle groups. 3, 2, 1. So as you recruit that strength in the glutes, the heart rate goes through the roof. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. You got this. Full 20 seconds. Check in, stay till the end. Especially as the weight gets heavy. Can you engage the belly? 2, 1, and rest. Almost there, just a few more working intervals in this Tabata session. 2, 1, let's get it. Hip hinge and drive. Hinge and drive. You've got 10 more seconds in this interval. Keep the low ribs hugging to the hip points. 3, 2, and 1. Rest for 5 more seconds. You got this. Now we're in our cycle rest. That was the end of our Tabata session there. Our next movement is the step back lunge with a shoulder raise. We are going in 7 seconds. Here we go. Get your weights by your sides. And 2, 1. So we step back together, weights come up, shoulder raise out to the sides. Shoulders stay relaxed as you complete that raise. So avoid the tendency to shrug the shoulders as the weight gets heavy, and rest. Dropping one of the weights here, coming into our curtsy with tricep extension in 2, 1. So it's a curtsy pulse and press up, tricep extension. Pulse, nice and low, press up. So the back knee stays close. This need not be a very wide stance. 3, 2, 1. But you're keeping the back knee close to that front heel. Grab both weights. We're going in 3, 2, 1. Step back, lunge together. Lunge together. Curl the weights up, lift out, together and down. Step back, together, step back, come up. Lift the shoulders and come back down. That's our movement pattern. Find the rhythmic pace where breath matches movement. Curl the weights up, lift the elbows out, and back together. We're here for 5, 3, 2, 1. Drop one weight. Getting ready for our curtsy pulse with tricep extension in 3, 2, 1. Wrap the upper arm bones back. It's a pulse. Tricep extension. Pulse, extend. So nice and smooth here. Take out the hard edges. Hug the elbows into the midline. That'll isolate the triceps. You should feel it here. Keep the low ribs drawing in. Try not to let them flare, even as you lift the heart, as you elongate the spine. 10 more seconds. Triceps on fire, especially if you're keeping the upper arms stationary. 2, 1, and rest. We're coming into our last interval of these 2 exercises. Grab your weights. 3, 2, 1. Stepping back. Lunge together. Lunge together. Curl the weights up. Lift them out. Together and back. So again, you can take out kind of the hard edges of the movement and let these patterns flow together. Step back and back. Curl up. Shoulder raise. Together and down. We have 30 more seconds here. You got it. Shoulders on fire. Legs supporting you. If you want an added challenge for the last 15 seconds, you can create a static curl. So out to the side, keep that curl as you step back. And lateral raise. Keep that curl. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release one of the weights. Coming into our last round of the Curtsy pulse with the tricep extension. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go. It's pulse. Extend. Use your breath. Pulse. Extend. So as best as you can, keep the elbows and upper arms stationary. They're not moving. That focuses the work in the tricep. You should feel this. Your triceps on fire. And the legs supporting all the way through. Press up. We have 25 more seconds. The longest interval yet. You got this. 15 more seconds. Stay with it. Focus that work in the triceps. Breathe. Last 5. And rest. You can drop that weight just for a moment. Shake out your shoulders. Our last round of Tabata. It's just 4 more minutes in 20-second bursts. We're moving to our weighted jack. So grab your single weight. And again, remember, you can be stepping out or jumping out. Your choice. We go in 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. Jack. You can create a fluid pattern, or you can create that little pause as you hop the feet together. These 20-second intervals will go by so quickly. 3, 2, 1. Rest. It's a quick 10 seconds, just enough to collect your breath and jump right back in. Take the alternates that you need. Here we go. 20 seconds on the clock. Let's do it. You can do anything for 20 seconds. By the time you've gotten into it, you're already more than halfway through the interval. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Legs on fire. You got this. We're going for round 3. In 2, 1. Let's get it. Here we go. Just 20 seconds. Show up, check in, stay here. You got this. Last 5. 3, 2, 1, and rest. We got this. You're almost to the end here. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. Jack together. Stay with it. I'm here with you. Breathing till the very end. This is round 4. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Really feeling the legs, the arms, the lungs, the heart. They're working for you. Be here. Let's go. 20 seconds. You can always take the step out option for low impact. This is our practice for energy release. What do you need to move through? And rest. You got this. So this time in the cycle, mind and body are in a state of arousal. So can you use this practice? Here we go. For release, for clearing, for shining from the inside. You got it. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. We have just 2 more rounds, 20 seconds each. Here we go. 2, 1. Let's get it. Hop. 20 seconds. Stay here. You got it. Feel your body in motion. Where are you experiencing the work? 3, 2, 1. We're getting there. Our last round in 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay with it till the end. You got it. Last 10. Stay with it. Be strong. 3, 2, and 1. Set that weight down. You have completed this workout for today. Give yourself a huge round of applause, a huge pat on the back. Just step the feet wide and together, adding some arms as we get ready for our cool down. So if this is where we part, I want to give you just a few breaths to collect here, to really acknowledge the work that you've done. So take that time, celebrate. Let's enjoy a very deep breath together, particularly if this is where you're leaving us, if you're cooling down on your own. Let's inhale, sweep the arms out up and wide, and exhale. If this is where you're leaving us, thank you for being here, and we will get started with our cool down now. We're shifting into our cool down now. Let the feet come nice and wide. Simple alternating lateral lunge. Keep the heart elevated, particularly if your heart is still beating very quickly. We're just creating kind of some fluid movement to transition from high intensity back to our neutral ground. We'll take 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause in the center, reach the arms out and overhead, and then fold forward, but keep your head level with the hips and heart. Shift the weight into the ball mounds of your feet. Tilt the pelvis forward, so move the pubic bone towards the back of the room. Make sure hips are level with the ankles. And then I'll mirror you here, so keep the left hand grounded. Spin the right arm open for a twist. Can you square the hips to the earth? Imagine a gentle touch pressing that palm open. Back through center, exchanging sides now. Twisting the left arm open. Squaring hips. You might even take a hand to the sacrum to level the pelvis there. Come back through center. You can take a bit of a deeper fold if you like here. And then we'll turn to one side of your mat. Come into a tabletop position. So let your shoulders be directly over your wrists, your hips over your knees. We'll come into puppy pose. Walk the hands out in front of you. Stretch the sitting bones back. Soften the heart to the mat. Just creating some space in the shoulders. Lengthen the spine. And then slide forward onto the belly here into Sphinx Pose. So really ground down through the hip points, the lower legs, the lower body, really anchoring so that you can stretch the spine up and out. And then as you are ready here, bring your right arm out to a cactus shape. And then come onto the left fingertips. Begin to rotate open. So take your left foot, roll it behind you, coming onto the right side of your body. If you have the space, you can extend that right arm out to T. So really creating a bit of chest opening here, a bit of rotation in the low spine. Breathing, letting the heart rate slow down. Come back through center, exchanging sides. So you can have either a cactus shape, or if you have the space, the arm comes out to T. This time rolling onto the left hip, taking your right foot behind you, pressing the sole of that foot down. Just creating expansion in the chest and a bit of passive release for the low spine. Come back through center here as you're ready. Finding that Sphinx pose once again, just allowing the hip flexors to breathe a bit. Then begin to roll onto the back here, hugging knees into chest. So this might feel really good after all of that work in the low spine, just giving yourself a bit of a squeeze. Cross your right ankle over left, hug the shape of your legs into your body. Deep awakening in the outer hips here. After all that hard work. Keep the shape in the legs. Begin to cross your right arm under left. Find eagle arms, creating a bit of stretch in the outer shoulders. Let the arms stay as they are. Bring your left foot to the mat. And then slowly begin to let the shape of your legs lower to the left. So pigeon twist in the lower body. Then you can take your left arm across the chest, find a tricep stretch here. And let the shape of your body be what it is. Try not to think about it too much. And then releasing the arms, keeping the twist in the lower legs. Tone the low belly to come back through center. Switching the cross now, left ankle over right knee. Hug the shape of your legs into your body. Creating that deep stretch in the outer hip here. This time, take the left arm under right for eagle arms. Keep the arms as they are. Bring your right foot to the mat. And just allow the shape of your legs to lower to the right, finding that twist. Extend your right arm over to the left. Find a tricep stretch here. And then letting the arms go for a moment, for a few breaths, as you keep the twist. Tone the low belly to come back through center. Give your knees a nice big squeeze. And then let the feet come back down to the mat. Windshield wiper your legs a bit side to side just to free the hips. And then let your knees knock in together. Bring your feet to the wide edges of your mat. Be here for a few very deep breaths just to allow the sacrum to relax a bit. Maybe bring a hand to heart, one hand to belly. Soften your gaze or close your eyes. And just acknowledge what you are experiencing in this moment. Do you feel some heat? Do you feel sensation in the body? Sometimes these power practices in the ovulatory phase come with a bit of awakening, of invigoration. You might feel a bit of tingling throughout the spine and the heart and the chest. So you know that your lungs, your heart have worked so hard for you in this practice. And now they can relax even more deeply. Let's enjoy a very big breath together. Inhale. Sigh it out, exhale. And journey back up to a seat, either rocking and rolling forward and back or turning to your side. And as you transition to the rest of your day, I just want to thank you so much for showing up, for being here with me, and for letting your body be moved.